Howdy, my name is Nonat, and welcome to my theories on the 42 new archetypes coming to the Pathfinder 2nd Edition Advanced Player's Guide. So this video is something I've wanted to make for a little bit. I've never known how to do it, and I think I'm just going to sort of ramble off the cuff, low editing, and just get this out there, because the more I think about it, the less time there is between when this video goes up and the APG actually being released. So I'm just going to go ahead and ramble here. I'm going to touch on each of the 42 archetypes for a little bit, not long, and just sort of give my idea for what I think the archetype might be. It's going to be a very chill video. There's not going to be any flashy editing. It's just probably going to be the name of the archetype up there. So feel free to put this on as background noise and go about your daily business. Let's get started, because there's a lot of them. It's worth noting that all 42 of these are confirmed by Paizo from their PaizoCon live stream a few weeks ago. So these are the official names, but we did not get any detailed information on them. So like I said, these are all going to be theories, and I'm interested in how they're actually going to function. We're going to be going in alphabetical order, so let's start with the ACROBAT. I'm guessing this is just going to be a very reflex-heavy archetype. It'll probably give you bonuses to reflex saves, bonuses to certain skill checks that use dexterity, in specific circumstances, probably, you know, jump checks and climb checks and stuff like that. You'll probably get some unique feats in combat that allow you to maneuver around the battlefield a little more agile. They'll probably have a way to avoid attacks of opportunity and stuff like that. It's gonna be your go-to nimble character, probably not too heavily damage focused, but, you know, very good for roleplay, very good for a thief trying to get around easily. I think it could be pretty fun. The Archeologist, I'm gonna be honest, I have almost no idea. I'm guessing it's gonna be some intelligence-based knowledge class, where maybe you can identify things just by their bones. You'll be able to find some random leg bone in a dungeon, and you'll be able to be like, that's an elf bone specifically. I know that. We're in trouble. This thing eats people. Aside from that, I don't know how it'll get bonuses in combat or anything. I'm going to try to think of all of these in, like, roleplay and combat. So roleplay-wise, I think it'll definitely be about garnering information from dirt and bones and things. Whereas in combat, I have no idea. Maybe they'll be able to attack specific weak points of creatures because they've studied them, and like maybe they know, oh, this joint on these bones is weak for this creature, so I'm going to strike there and they'll get a bonus to damage or something. I don't know. Just the Archer, which seems very simple, and I'm guessing we'll just get bonuses to using bows and crossbows, maybe even just bows, because when I think of an archer, I think of a bow, not a crossbow. So I'm guessing they'll just get bonuses to hit, bonuses to damage, maybe the ability to attack more than one person at once with a bow would be awesome. You know, knocking 2 arrows and firing them off at multiple targets could be really cool. As far as roleplay, I don't think this thing's going to get much. This sounds like a much more combat-focused archetype. The Assassin, I can only imagine, again, very combat-focused, might not get much in the roleplay. Maybe they'll get they'll probably get bonuses to, you know, stealth and moving quietly and stuff like that. Maybe even some deception bonuses. I'm guessing their big thing is going to be altering the Thieves' sneak attack. It's worth noting that many, if not most of these, will probably have prerequisites, whether that means a specific class, or specific stats, even a specific general feat or skill feat before you're allowed to take the archetype. And I would be surprised if any class other than maybe Thief and maybe Ranger could take Assassin. Maybe Monks could take it, but I think this is going to be a Thief archetype that gives, you know, reworks the sneak attack to deal bonus or different damage. I don't think they're going to get the ability to use poisons better, because there's an archetype later on that I think will get that ability. The Bastion, I assume, will give you greater hit points as well as higher armor class. I assume it'll give you proficiency in heavy armor no matter what class you are, but then again, maybe you'll already have to be a fighter or a barbarian to take this. I imagine maybe it'll get a feat that gives an extra +1 armor class for raising shield. Instead of +2 from your shield, maybe it'll get +3, and maybe it'll improve shields you use to allow you to more effectively frontline tank. So while it doesn't give you a lot more options to deal damage, it gives you a lot more ability to take and mitigate damage. The Beastmaster is cool. This is one they sort of delved a little bit more into. It's going to be something that grants an animal companion to a class that doesn't necessarily always get animal companions. And if you go down the entire archetype, you will get the ability to call more than one animal companion at the same time. So if you're a ranger who takes this archetype, you can have 2 separate animal companions, and you'll be able to call both of them to the field at the same time. And even before that, you'll get the ability to sort of swap them out at will. Basically, you're a Pokemon trainer. The Blessed One, I honestly have no idea. I'm guessing it's a cleric archetype, but I don't know what will differentiate this specifically from the cleric. Maybe instead of actually getting divine magic like the cleric archetype, you'll actually get some feats and like natural, supernatural abilities. I have no idea, honestly. Maybe it's a roleplay thing. Maybe it'll give you bonuses to like diplomacy and, I don't know, society, knowledge, religion, and stuff like that. I got nothing for this one, I'm sorry. Bounty Hunter is going to be really cool. I'm guessing that's going to be like charisma bonuses, to take the jobs, as well as probably something similar to the Ranger's Hunt Prey, where you'll have a target, but rather than the ranger being able to swap their prey on the fly, I'm guessing the bounty hunter will have like one single target, and will maybe even get bonuses against creatures that they know are working for that target. If your bounty is the head of the Thieves Guild, maybe you get huge bonuses against the head of the Thieves Guild, and you get minor bonuses against everyone else working for him, and bonuses to, get information out of them, find this person. I'm guessing it's going to be something like that. The Cavalier is pretty obvious. It's going to be the riding class. It's going to get bonuses to riding and mounting creatures, as well as attacks made from on top of them. Maybe they'll get an extra bonus to armor class when mounted, because you already get a slight bonus from a light cover while mounted. So maybe they'll get like an extra armor class on top of that. Probably bonuses to hit, bonuses to damage. Maybe some unique maneuvers to move around the battlefield and sort of control it a little bit would be cool. Maybe like to circle around enemies and keep them close together. The Celebrity is hilarious, and I'm guessing it's just the ultimate charisma class. Celebrity is going to be, everybody knows you, everybody knows what you do, everybody has at least heard of you, and you can use that. You'll probably get a feat to roll to see if an NPC knows you, and if you can leverage your own popularity in your favor. I highly doubt this will have any kind of impact on combat, unless there's weirdly a feat that allows you to see if a humanoid enemy recognizes you, and maybe if they know you're a celebrity, they'll get penalties? I have no idea. I'm just spitballing here, but I think it could be absolutely hilarious. Similar to the Celebrity, but slightly different, is the Dandy. They did describe this one a little bit. It is the master of style and etiquette, the king of gossip and crashing the party. Honestly, I have no clue how it's going to differentiate from the Celebrity. It's still going to be charisma based, there's no doubt in my mind, but I'm guessing it's going to be more impressing people and learning information, like, no, you can trust me, you can tell me your secrets, it's fine, I'm not going to tell anyone, sister. And then using that information to really debilitate and, crash the party. Dragon Disciple has been in countless other systems and is always badass. You take the Dragon Disciple archetype, you get, various dragon-like abilities, maybe improved armor class from having scales. The big one is you always get a breath weapon. That's been confirmed. You will get a breath weapon depending on the type of dragon you revere, whether it be acid or fire or electric or other that I can't think of right now. It's basically, I want to be part dragon. Dual Weapon Warrior, pretty self-explained. Probably going to get huge bonuses on fighting with 2 weapons, Right now, you'll still have to deal with the -5 penalty from multiple attacks. You can do what you can with finesse weapons and agile weapons to minimize that. I'm guessing they'll be able to minimize it even further. I don't see them getting much bonus to damage. I just see them nullifying the penalties from multiple attacks, so they can just whirlwind flurry their weapons the entire combat. The Duelist I'm interested in, because when I think Duelist and I think Swashbuckler, they're similar. Because while it does show up later, the Swashbuckler is also confirmed as a new class coming in the Advanced Player's Guide, so I don't know how the Duelist is going to differ. Maybe the Duelist will be a Swashbuckler-only archetype that maybe gives them bonuses in one-on-one combat, rather than being surrounded and fighting multiple enemies, and maybe even not getting these bonuses if your allies fight with you, but maybe if you and one enemy are right next to each other and nobody else is within 5 feet, maybe you'll start getting bonuses in combat. I think that would be really cool. Bonuses to hit, bonuses to damage, some unique abilities and maneuvers would be really, really cool. Eldritch Archer, always a favorite, pretty simple if you've heard of it before. Effectively, it's a ranger that casts spells through their arrows, so they can shoot like an arrow of Tanglefoot which, it hits the enemy and then sprouts vines all over them. You can shoot, honestly, I don't think, they're usually pretty specific. They don't have as many choices as a spellcaster, at least in other systems they didn't. I don't know about 2E. But yeah, they would get, effectively an arrow of magic missile, an arrow that seeks its target and can't miss. They're really cool, they're really classic, I'm probably gonna play one. The Familiar Master was described as pretty simple. It's similar to the Animal Master one, where you can just get a familiar. Even if your class does not normally get a familiar, you can get one. And I'm guessing even if you already have a familiar, you'll be able to get a second one, which could be cool to have a little team of familiars that go out and do their thing together. That could be really, really fun. The Gladiator interests me because I don't understand it. They described it as playing to the crowd, calling your shots, and you're trained in a special form of stage fighting. So I don't know if they'll get actual bonuses, like to hit and to damage, but if they'll get specific bonuses, maybe even to their allies. I don't know, maybe their thing relies on being watched. Maybe you have to have a certain number of people watching you to get your bonuses. It sounds really situational, but in 42 archetypes, some of these have got to be situational. So maybe literally this archetype is for use if you are used to fighting for people's enjoyment. If you enjoy being watched while you fight, this might work and you might get like maybe bigger bonuses from it because it's so situational. The Herbalist sounds really cool. If I had to guess, it's probably going to be an Alchemist archetype, where instead of making, maybe it gives the Alchemist another thing they can make. Maybe they can make like balms and like specific healing items that use the Herbalist, or maybe it'll even let you make healing items like minor life elixirs without using your the Alchemist's infused reagents. Maybe they can just make healing items for free each day with the Herbalist, and then they can put everything else into, bombs or mutagens or however they work. That could be kind of cool. Or even if you're playing the Chirurgeon, the Chirurgeon can make even more healing items. Maybe you get a certain amount for free per day from the Herbalist, and then you can make your own as the Chirurgeon. I just like saying that word. And then you just have this almost never-ending supply of healing, which would be kind of cool. Horizon Walker, I'm always confused by. I've read it multiple times, and I can never remember what it does. And again, I'm off the cuff here. I'm not looking stuff up for this. I believe the Horizon Walker is like, it's typically a Ranger subclass. I'm guessing it'll be another Ranger archetype that is good at hunting things that are not from this plane. It's good at hunting, elementals and angels and devils and things that are not from the material plane to keep it safe. So I'm guessing it's going to be that again. You get bonuses against things that are not from this plane, as well as feats that sort of use those abilities and imbue your attacks in some way. The Investigator, I'm not going to cover too much because it's just an archetype of the class. I should say the 3 new classes coming are Investigator, Witch, and Swashbuckler, and those archetypes I assume are going to function similar to the archetypes we already have, which are, effectively you just take these feats at certain levels and you get minor bonuses and abilities from that class. So I'm guessing they're going to work the same way. The Linguist, I can't imagine what this does aside from get you a buttload of more languages, because, it's a linguist. What does a linguist do besides speak and understand more languages? So maybe as you put feats into the linguist archetype, you'll get, obviously new languages, and maybe on top of that, you'll be able to read certain languages. Maybe you'll even be able to get things like Thieves' Cant, or the Druid language. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's just called Druid's language? I don't know. Druidic speech, whatever it's called. Maybe you'll even be able to understand those as a linguist, would be kind of cool. The Loremaster, probably similar to the Archeologist, except when it comes to, past events, where you'll just be able to, you have huge bonuses to knowledge rolls about specific things, whether it be, religion, or past events, or recent events, and stuff like that. So you just read a lot. You're a nerd, probably. The Marshal is similar. If anyone ever played the I think it's called the Commander, or the War Chief, or something like that, in 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons, this is going to be similar to that, where you'll be shouting commands to your allies, giving them bonuses to armor class, bonuses to hit, giving them an extra attack that round. It's really cool. I love characters like this that can just spout out commands to buff everybody. I love playing enemies that can do that in my sessions, because it makes it so much more interesting when one enemy seems to do nothing, and then all of the other enemies around it get stronger. It's a really cool dynamic. The martial artist, which I'm not sure how it's going to differ from a monk, maybe it's going to, it's probably going to be a monk archetype, and maybe it'll rely less on stances and more on just brute force, but that's not what a martial art is. I don't understand it. This one I have no clue on. It's probably just going to be more options for the monk outside of what they already know. Maybe it'll be less like chakra and ki based, chi, I should say, and maybe it'll be more brute force stances. It might give new stances. That's my guess. It's going to give a couple new stance options for monks. The Mauler, M-A-U-L-E-R, probably just gets bonuses to heavy weapons. Probably is just made to use two-handed weapons, hit things really hard, and that's probably about it. I can't think of what else it would be, you know? A maul is the classic giant two-handed mace, so that's probably what it's got. I'm going to try to speed this up because we're only like halfway there. The medic, probably, I don't know if this one's going to be class specific. This one might give anybody, it'll probably give bonuses to the heal skill, you know, things like battle medicine, stuff like that. It'll just give, I could see it giving battle medicine as a class feat, as an archetype feat versus, you know, having to take it as a skill feat. It's probably just going to be really good at healing non-magically. I'm probably specifically non-magically, because when I think medic, I don't think divine healing. I think, you know, wrapping wounds and applying, you know, salves and stuff like that. The Oracle probably is going to take, what's that cantrip? Or no, it's a focus spell. I think it's Read Fate. Something like that. It's probably going to take that to the next level. You're probably going to get a lot more skills, maybe even spells, that allow you to see the future. Maybe you can roll 2 dice and pick like the lower one and force an enemy to roll that. Maybe it'll be similar to some of the features from 5th edition, like Halfling Luck, where you can take 2 dice at the beginning of each day and keep those numbers off to the side and use those numbers for any die roll from any character. You know, if you roll a 20 and a 5 and you attack and miss, you can switch your attack to a 20 and get an auto crit. And then if an enemy attacks you and misses, maybe you can force them, or they hit, you can force them to use that 5 and automatically miss their roll. You know, probably going to be something like that, where twisting fate in your own benefit. The pirate, I've got no idea. It's probably going to be another swashbuckler archetype. Maybe they'll just get bonuses for fighting on the sea? Maybe fighting on boats, you get bonuses. Maybe like rough waves don't count as difficult terrain for a pirate. They're probably going to get some thief-like bonuses for, you know, like stealing and stuff like that. Maybe intimidation. I've got nothing, though. I like how I'm saying I've got nothing after I clearly give ideas. The Poisoner, which is the one I was talking about back on the Assassin, is the one I assume is going to just be able to easily apply poison to weapons. They'll probably get advanced poisons, maybe even buff poisons that already exist that don't normally get stronger. They might be able to apply it to things that don't normally get to apply it, or maybe they can do it as a free action. Maybe they can like coat an arrow in poison and fire that in one action would be cool. But yeah, obviously the Poisoner is gonna be all about poison. The Ritualist is something, again, I don't know. They'll probably specialize in ritual spells, which there's not that many, but maybe they'll add more in the Advanced Player's Guide. Maybe they'll even be able to cast ritual spells quickly, because a ritual spell usually takes like 10 minutes to cast. So maybe they'll be able to cast it in like a 3-action spell, which seems like it'd be busted, but who knows? It's the Advanced Player's Guide. Anything can happen. The Scout is probably a ranger archetype that is probably just good at tracking and seeking. They're probably going to be good at moving quickly, no matter what the terrain, good at tracking. I doubt they're going to get many in-combat abilities, but if it is a ranger archetype, that might get some tweaks to like their hunt prey. Maybe they can hunt a prey even if they've only found its tracks, and they can instantly start hunting it. And they'll probably get all these bonuses to finding it. Maybe they'll even get a movement speed bonus to chasing down their prey. If they're tracking their prey and they know the trail, maybe they can get a movement speed buff on closing the distance. The Scroll Trickster sounds really cool, and it's basically an alchemist, but instead of making alchemical items and bombs, they make one-time use spell scrolls that they can cast, which basically means, I think this might be the only class archetype that gets to use spells from every spell list. Because I don't think the Scroll Trickster is going to have to pick a spell type. I think they can probably make scrolls. They'll probably have to pick a certain number of spells they know how to make, but they can probably pick from all the spell lists, which would be freaking cool. So they'll have a much lower amount of spells they can pick from, but there'll be this perfect mishmash from all the different spell lists that they can use per day. It's going to be awesome. The Scrounger, which they described as MacGyver, the archetype. You get to make contraptions out of junk. I don't know what a contraption is. Maybe it's gonna be like a turret, like this is gonna be like an artificer kind of thing, but rather than being magical, it's using junk? I have no idea what this is gonna be, but I know it's gonna be cool. I look forward to reading about this one. The Sentinel, I don't know how it's gonna differ quite from the Bastion. I'm guessing it's gonna be similar, but I'm guessing it's going to get a little bit less durability than the Bastion, but it's going to get some other bonuses to reducing damage to allies. I'm sure there's going to be tons. It's going to be similar to a champion. You know, it might even be a champion subclass, champion archetype, that will get even more bonuses to protecting allies with their reactions, or maybe even be able to take a hit instead of an ally. I don't know. It's got cool stuff. It's a cool idea. I like the thought of it. Shadow Dancer is definitely the magic thief, but they use a specific shadow magic. I don't know what that means. That's all they said on the live stream, was that it's weird shadow magic, which I don't know if that's going to give them completely unique spells, or if it's just going to be a specific shorter spell list the thief can pick from. Like maybe it's just some spells from all the spell lists that they can pick from. The Snarecrafter, I like this that it's going to be an archetype, because there is trap crafting in Pathfinder 2e, but I don't see people typically using it. People will craft weapons, they'll craft armor, they'll craft magic items, but they'll never craft traps. So I think it's cool they're making an archetype all around it, and I think, what I'm hoping, is that it'll be more combat focused, where you can create and arm traps in the middle of combat, and maybe even be able to roll like stealth to subtly set it in front of you without any of the enemies noticing. So if someone rushes you, they'll trigger your trap card, and, you know, trap hole will happen, and then they'll have to destroy a creature with 1,500 or less attack points. I think that's bottomless trap hole. God, I haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh! In forever. Moving on. The Talisman Dabbler, I don't know. It sounds really similar to the Scroll Trickster. I don't know what a talisman means, I guess, because talismans are different depending on who you ask. Sometimes they're magic items that give off a permanent buff. Sometimes they're magic items that have a certain number of charges to expend. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe rather than individual scrolls like the Scroll Trickster, the talisman will just have, like, you'll pick maybe one spell or effect, and maybe your talisman will get just a few charges of that one effect, and maybe it's stronger than the Scroll Trickster. I've got honestly no idea. That's another one I really want to see when it comes out. The Vigilante is interesting in that it's almost entirely a roleplay archetype, because it's about hiding your primary class. If you're a wizard and you don't want people to know you're a wizard, the Vigilante archetype helps you hide that. Where, you know, you become, you know, a superhero where, you know, businessman by day, spell-casting slinger by night. You know, it sounds hilarious, and I love it. And it's cool roleplay, you know. People won't even know you're an adventurer, I think. My only question with this is, how is it going to work with the rest of your adventuring party without, you know, splitting the party every time you get to town? Viking, similar to the pirate, I'm guessing, maybe has some similar bonuses, probably is more heavy weapon focused, or maybe even dual wielding, because, you know, you see these pictures of Vikings with, you know, 2 hatchets in the air. It's a cool idea, you know. I don't know exactly what it'll be, probably similar to pirate, but maybe a fighter archetype. Or probably barbarian, or both. The Weapon Improviser might be the one I'm most excited for, even though we know nothing about it, because I've always wanted to make a character that thrives on improvised weapons. Weapons, you know, they'll grab a bar stool and be just as efficient with it than if they had a battle axe, you know? It's just a hilarious idea. It doesn't make much sense. I'm sure it'll still be weaker than if you were to use an actual weapon, but I love that idea of an archetype that gives bonuses if you're using a weapon that's not designed to be a weapon. I'm really excited. And the last archetype is just the Witch, which is the other, you know, the other class that's coming out, so it's probably going to be similar, where you get bonuses as if you were a lower level witch class as your primary class. I'm not going to talk about that one too much. And that is all of the 42 archetypes coming out in the APG and my ideas of what they're going to be like. I'm really excited. Once the APG comes out, I guess I'll have to make videos covering them. I'll probably make archetype videos fairly soon. I don't know if I want to jump into them sooner rather than later, or if I want to wait until I finished all the base classes, but with the 42 archetypes coming out next month, maybe I'll try to blast through the archetypes, because archetypes are a lot similar than classes. It would just feel weird covering archetypes of classes I haven't covered in a guide yet. But let me know in the comments if you would like to see individual archetype guides come out, because they would be pretty short. I'd probably be able to get them out in 5 or 6 minutes, maybe upwards of 10, because I'd have to cover all of their options. But let me know. And let me know what you guys think some of these archetypes might be. I want to hear your theories, your ideas, and, you know, other things to bump that comment algorithm. I'm definitely going to make that joke every video. Completely original. Did not steal it from my dry bread ever. Anyway, that is it for my video on the 42 archetypes in the APG. Remember to subscribe if you liked what you saw, and ring the bell to know exactly when the next video goes live. And until next time, no nat ones.